This video is brought to you by Squarespace. To be young and in love. The kind of undying love between soulmates that defies a decades-long family feud, convinces a certified bad boy to show his sensitive side to a girl he likes, or makes an entire student body break into song and dance around the soulmate connection of sweethearts. But all the smiling faces and upbeat tunes make it easy to forget that every single one of those couples are toxic AF. From manipulative masters to scheming seducers, musicals pack their fair share of problematic pairings, some worse than others. I'm Brendan with Wait in the Wings, and these are 7 of Broadway's most toxic couples. There are tons of ways to give off red flags. A bad website is definitely one of them. Whether you're trying to create a blog, a video portfolio, or an online shop, Squarespace's customizable templates make it easier than ever to build a beautiful website everyone can trust. Even better, integrated tools like email campaigns, online appointment management features, and exclusive member areas help make your site that much better without the fear of glitches, security concerns, or complete website crashes. So put your best foot forward with a website builder that puts you first. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/waitinthewings to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. There are countless characteristics to consider when deciding if a couple is toxic. But if a duo plots a murder to settle some high school drama, then it's definitely going to the top of the list. Adapted from the 1988 cult film starring Winona Ryder and Christian Slater, no one exhibits the brooding bad boy persona quite like JD in Heathers the Musical. Considering his full name is Jason Dean, a nod to the original bad boy of Hollywood, James Dean, it's no surprise that JD has a real sadistic side. Scary for some, but a major turn-on for Veronica Sawyer. A misfit who's recently fallen in with the school's dominant clique, the Heathers. Yes, everyone besides Veronica is called Heather. Veronica doesn't seem like the type of girl that would go for the vicious boy next door. But f me gently with a chainsaw, she does. Veronica's fantasy of violence and attraction to JD's brutality is only the first of many red flags to come as the relationship unfolds throughout the show. From an obsession with the pain of a 7-Eleven Slurpee-induced brain freeze, to Veronica breaking into JD's room in the middle of the night, drunk, uninvited, looking for a good time, and seemingly without him giving her his address. The couple's relationship is built on a series of toxic behaviors. Whether Veronica and JD actually love each other is up for debate. But one thing's for sure, they absolutely bring the worst out of each other. JD is driven by the belief that their love and the total defense of it is in the world's best interest, and that killing a few classmates is justified simply by the intense passion he feels for Veronica. Throughout the whole musical, the couple's desire for vengeance against the popular kids results in mind games, threats, and lots of death. So what's the lesson here? Never trust anybody who drinks a 7-Eleven Slurpee. Or, shoots 2 people in the woods in cold blood. While some could blame some of these mistakes on youth, Sweeney Todd and Mrs. Lovett should have been old enough to know better. A musical adaptation of the Victorian Penny Dreadful The String of Pearls, Sweeney Todd is also privy to a killing spree. Except this time, instead of Westburg High, there's no place like London. At roughly 40 years old, Mrs. Lovett just wants true love and a successful meat pie shop. Unfortunately, she hasn't seen Benjamin Barker, the barber she had a crush on, in 20 years, and even worse, the other local pie shop found a competitive edge by using neighborhood cats. But that all changes one day when a certified sad boy named Sweeney Todd sulks into her shop and confesses he is none other than Benjamin Barker, that long-lost crush returned from a court-ordered exile in Australia. Sensing Sweeney's desire to exact revenge on the evil judge who sent him away as a means to steal his wife, Lovett convinces Sweeney to kill as many people as he can to avenge his wife's death. Through the devious execution of their plans, Lovett eagerly expands her shop, complete with a chute that sends victims through the floor and into the bakehouse, where the bodies are ground into meat to be turned into pies. The bigger the murder, the better the pies. Talk about efficiency. There's just one problem. As Lovett fans the flames of Todd's revenge and hopes he'll come to love her, he becomes so consumed with blind rage that he doesn't even see her romantic advances, or the reason she's so invested in his scheme. Needless to say, Lovett's love is not fleeting, and it doesn't turn out well for, well, literally anybody. In the end, Lovett's deception results in more blood than a Sam Raimi horror movie. But while Lovett might have had the worst pies in London, she surprisingly didn't have the worst relationship. So pack your meat pies in a picnic basket, we're headed to Oklahoma. The Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein classic that took Broadway by storm in 1943 contains a bit less bloodshed than our previous two tales. But not that much. Our story starts on a beautiful morning, when Curly McLean, the neighborhood cowboy, teases Lori Williams, the girl next door, with the date of any girl's dreams: a carriage ride to the box social. Think homecoming dance, but with a lot more picnic baskets. And misogyny. Sure, the two look like poster children for the all-American sweetheart, but don't let those smiles fool you. These two are about as dastardly as Mr. and Mrs. Macbeth. Lori and Curly are too stubborn to admit their feelings for each other. And so, as with any good love story, a whole 2 hours and 45 minutes of circling around the inevitable ensues. The two try everything to make each other jealous. Lori chooses to go to the box social with Judd, her family's hired farmhand, while Curly, in an attempt to get even, decides to take a girl named Gertie, one of Lori's rivals, with a very unique laugh. The two spend the entire show playing pointless mind games with each other. Mind games that result in fistfights, humiliation, relentless bidding wars on Lori's picnic basket. Take that as you will. Oh, and Curly straight up killing a guy. The two newlyweds somehow manage to skip away from their destruction, proving that not even death can get in the way of a major main character moment. I mean, sure, it's not like they were poisoning their classmates with cleaning solution or chopping up limbs to be baked into meat pies, but it's arguably not the best way to start a marriage. Now, regardless of what this list would have you believe so far, toxic relationships aren't always rooted in plots for murder and revenge. Sometimes relationship struggles are more relatable. Meet Marvin, a middle-aged, self-obsessed father who leaves his wife and child and dreams of running off into the sunset with his best friend, Whizzer. If only it could be that easy. Opening on Broadway in 1992, William Finn and James Lapine's Falsettos tells the complex story of a modern family grappling with love in its many forms. Marvin spends a good majority of the show fully convinced he can have it all: a passionate love affair with Whizzer, and a close relationship with his ex-wife and son. Unfortunately, Marvin is so focused on winning life's game of chess that he fails to recognize the pawns he sacrifices along the way. Marvin is the physical embodiment of a toxic partner. He hides his feelings, he tries to dominate every aspect of Whizzer's life, and he even resorts to violence in some cases. This controlling nature directly clashes with Whizzer's independence. But maybe the most troubling part of this relationship is how Marvin insists that Whizzer should fill the role of housewife, something Marvin also expected from his ex-wife, Trina. The couple can't seem to agree on much of anything. After a heated chess game leads to their breakup, both Marvin and Whizzer take stock of their lives and the failed relationships that lie in their wake. The two want to love each other, but their personalities stop it from happening. Marvin and Whizzer's relationship operates in extremes. from extreme happiness one second to extreme hostility the next. No one is immune to Marvin's toxic attributes, which extend into all of his relationships, from Whizzer and Trina to his psychiatrist, neighbors, and his son. But what happens when a couple is less afraid to ditch their old life to chase down a new dream? Dreamgirls, the 1980s musical that took Broadway by storm, tells the story of the Dreamettes, a 1960s girl group flaunting the vocal talents of Effie White and her two best friends. After appearing in a small talent competition, the group catches the scheming eye of Curtis Taylor Jr. Curtis, a literal car salesman, snakes his way into a job as the group's manager with a promise. He'll make the Dreamettes famous if they give him one thing in return: their trust. As the Dreamettes pave their way in the music industry, Curtis starts up a relationship with Effie, believing he can control the fate of the group with close access to the star of the show. But while trusting Curtis may have been Effie's first mistake, dating him was certainly the biggest. After blurring every line between business and pleasure, Curtis exploits his all-access pass to the group. He goes on an absolute power trip. He dethrones Effie as lead singer and replaces her with a woman he thinks is more attractive and marketable. Deena, the replacement, just so happens to be Effie's best friend. Controlling tendencies aside, Curtis does deliver on his promise and takes the unknown trio to the top of the charts. As success grows, so do tempers. And a huge blow-up leads Curtis to drop Effie not only from the group, but from his life. Despite a genuine attraction at first meeting, the relationship between Curtis and Effie shifts and becomes unbalanced as jealousy and resentment overtake the two. A ruthless schemer willing to stifle others for personal gain, Curtis hurts and uses everyone who comes into his orbit. He's infatuated with the potential in people, but doesn't stick around for the real stuff. Like the evolution of someone's character beyond stardom. Or, when he gets someone pregnant. But speaking of men who profit off women in the spotlight, before the allure of true crime podcasts and televised celebrity hearings, there was Billy Flynn's courtroom drama. After Roxy Hart kills her lover Fred in the musical Chicago, she finds herself alongside the merry murderesses of Cook County Jail and in need of legal defense. And so she turns to Billy Flynn, a sought-after criminal defense lawyer who, coincidentally, only takes on female clients. The sly Billy takes on Roxy's case, but soon realizes that she doesn't have the money to pay for his services. Needing to make a quick buck, Billy puppets how the crime is framed to the public, successfully generating intrigue from tabloid media and transforming Roxy into a celebrity. That being said, it could be argued that Billy and Roxy both reach for manipulative tactics, persistent lies, and all that jazz. As Billy exploits the press and Roxy seduces herself to the front page, it would seem like the pair is a match made in Bob Fosse heaven. But somewhere between stirring up a media frenzy and a fake pregnancy, both Billy and Roxy lose sight of the fact that the goal here isn't to fall in love with fame and fortune, but rather to not be hung for murder. But if selling scandalous stories isn't enough to keep your leading lady in the spotlight, destroying a chandelier is a surefire way to make the love of your life a star. To call the Phantom of the Opera possessive of opera singer Christine Daae is a massive understatement. Much like everyone else in this video, the relationship between these two was doomed from the start. At singing lessons. The Phantom masquerades as the Angel of Music, an unseen tutor Christine believes was sent by her dead father. Then, things go truly downhill when the Phantom appears in Christine's dressing room mirror. He leads Christine through a maze of candlelit tunnels to his gothic lair beneath the Paris Opera House. And it's almost seductive enough to make audiences forget that this is a literal kidnapping. Sure, Phantom encourages Christine's career. But he also grows increasingly jealous of anyone who tries to win her attention, and violent when anyone else takes the stage. The Phantom is irrational and manipulative, partially because the world's treated him the same way. But that still doesn't excuse him from claiming Christine as his property, and taking advantage of her extremely fragile state following the death of her father. But given that she fell in love with a man who literally kidnapped her and killed a bunch of her coworkers, Christine isn't exactly off the hook either. So what makes the relationship between Christine and Phantom toxic? Take your pick. Is it the problematic age gap, the creepy letters, the ruthless murder of people in Christine's circle? Regardless, it all culminates in the death of approximately 200 people via a crashing chandelier. But did you know that the crash was actually inspired by a true event? Click on this video to learn the true story behind the chandelier accident that inspired the Phantom of the Opera and how they brought this effect to the stage.